This is Kathryn Goetzke, host of the Hope Matrix podcast. We are here to share science, stories, and strategies for how to hope. I'm the Chief Hope Officer of the Shine Hope Company, and Shine is the mnemonic for how we teach hope. So when we talk about hope, we talk about how we use stress skills, happiness habits, inspired actions, nourishing networks, and eliminating challenges, which are our thinking patterns that get in the way of our ability to hope. Hope is a skill. You can measure hope, you can teach hope, and you can start practicing skills to activate higher hope in your life today. And on this Hope Matrix podcast, we aim to bring in guests, experts in science, people with stories, and those that have strategies for activating hope in your life.
Well, good day, everyone. This is Kathryn Goetzke, host of the Hope Matrix podcast. And, I feel like I say this every time, and yet I am beyond inspired by our guest today, who is here to share her extraordinary story of really recovery and just taking tragedy and turning it into really transformation and changing the world for girls and youth around the world. So she's got a pretty amazing story, and I'm grateful that she came, that she's in today. She's from Nepal, but here to share her story with us. So as you know, on the Hope Matrix podcast, we share science stories and strategies for hope, and that's what we're here today. Taking lived experience with people that have been through pretty tough things or challenging things that many of us can't even imagine going through, and sharing how they use the tools that we talk about in the Shine Hope framework to get to the other side. And so I'm here with Kamala today, who shares how she did just that. So Kamala Poudel is, as I said, from Nepal, and she is joining us. It's late at night in Nepal, I do believe. But how are you today? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm doing well, and I'm very excited to be part of this podcast.
Oh, I am so grateful to have you here. I don't know how you heard about the Hope story. Can you let me know, just remind me where you actually saw that Hope story template that we just put it out recently.
Well, I was going through the newsletters, and one of the newsletters led me to the Hope story.
Okay. Well, it's pretty amazing because you're, exactly why I built out the Hope story, because I wanted a template that people could kind of use as a guide to fill out their lived experience with really the challenge they had, but then specifically the strategies they used to overcome that challenge, to share with the world so that other people that may be experiencing similar challenges can learn. And what is so cool about you is, you took it upon yourself to write up your Hope story and send it in, and I read it and I cried. And I just thought, this is really why I'm doing this work. Your story is extraordinary. And so I'm really grateful, for you taking the time to write your Hope story and send it in. It was really touching for me personally. And, I've been doing this work for a long time and often think, why am I even doing this work? And your story reminds me of why I'm doing that. Because we can learn so much from you, and you have so much to teach. So first I want to honor you and thank you for doing that. I want to dive into your story. And if you can share a little bit about your background and I guess what inspired you to reach out and what your story is all about.
Well, I'm from Nepal, and I'm right now around 50 years of age. When I was about 5 years of age, that is around 45 years ago, my stepfather sold me into child trafficking. And this was a rampant practice in Nepal those days. Even these days also, women trafficking is very common in Nepal. But those days it was like a matter of regularity. There was no law against child trafficking or women trafficking, no control over traffickers. So it was fairly easy to take any child away. 5 years I was, and I don't remember my family at all because I was so young when I was sold. And I was taken to the brothel house and I was kept there, beaten up every day on one pretext or another. And by the time I was 10 years of age, I had spent 5 years there, and every day I was waiting for an opportunity to run away. And in 5 years, once I found that opportunity and I did not look back, I just ran away from that place. And I managed everything on my own thereafter because I could not go back to my biological family because I had no memory of my mother, father, or siblings because I was sold when I was so young.
Wow.
So that
Five
pain
years
is
old.
there.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. You know, as a 5-year-old, do you have memories from that? I mean, do you?
I remember faintly the brothel house and the people therein. They were all very cruel, very, very rude people. And it was hell, truly a hell actually. But otherwise, I don't remember much of it because I was very young.
Yeah. How did you get away?
I managed that there was a door open and I was a kid, so they did not used to padlock me. There were other Nepali sisters who were grown up. Those Nepali sisters used to be padlocked. But I was a child, so they did not padlock me. And I used to help them in the kitchen work. So the back door of the kitchen was open, so I just ran away.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. And when you think about hopelessness, being despair and helpless, like really, that's the definition of hopeless. I mean, I can't imagine a more, a harder situation as a young child. And that this practice is even happening. And we talk about Nepal, it's happening in the US. I mean, which is just beyond comprehension with these young kids. And so, I mean, amazing that you were able to escape. Where did you go?
I just managed to reach nearby railway station, walking and running and walking. And I somehow reached the railway station and I was very hungry. So I asked a food vendor to give me something to eat. So he said, "Where's the money?" And I said, "I don't have money." So he said, "You do the dishes and then I'll give you something to eat." So that was the first lesson I learned in my life. If I want to have food, I have to work. So I did dishes for that person and that person gave me something to eat. And from that day, I started working here and there for food, shelter, and clothing. And since I did not remember my biological family, I could not go back to them. So I used to live on my own, live off me, myself. And the biggest worry was shelter. Being a girl child, it was very difficult for me to be secure and safe. So I used to bargain for less money but more safety. And I worked at a lot of roadside eateries, the restaurants. And I worked in 2, 3 churches also for cleaning and agriculture for the church building. And that's how I got faith developed in me, like an anchor. So I still, by God's grace, have that anchor within me, which has seen me through many, many difficult situations. My hope never wavers because that anchor is deep within me. And that goes back to the days when I used to work for church. And I used to do agriculture for the church kitchen, and I used to clean up the church. So those little things, being close to the church atmosphere, have left behind a big anchor for me. Otherwise, in my kind of a situation, hope was the last thing I could hope for. But the anchor gives me hope and calmness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're 10 years old and you just start working. I mean, that's what you learn. So you start using your skills, whatever skills you have, in healthy ways to find safety. And we know that's the most basic human need and our, fear. So managing, when we talk about hopelessness, being both emotional despair and fear is a big part of that, fear, anger, sadness. And so learning how to take action towards securing yourself, providing safety with shelter. So you work for food vendors, you went to churches, did work at churches, and you felt safe at churches? Is that safe to say? Yeah. That's amazing for a 10-year-old child, for you.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think how did you know to do this?
Well, one thing led to another thing led to another. I was in Calcutta, India. The brothel house was in India. And I reached the railway station in India. There I was working. Then I was told by somebody there is more money in Manipur, which is northeastern part of India. So, because the people used to talk to me and I used to talk to people, I used to gather information from the people who used to come for food at the restaurant. So they told me there's a lot of money in Manipur. So being a small child, I was like, okay, I can earn better money, more good prospects and safety also. So I traveled to Manipur from Calcutta. And reaching Manipur, I found there was a lot of options for me because Manipur is Burma border with India. So there are a lot of tourist people coming there, and it was like the churches were also there, the small village churches, not big, but small village churches. So it was easy to get shelter and free shelter, and work also was there available. So one thing led to another thing led to another, and I have been thankfully very friendly person. And I used to discuss my problems with people who used to come to the restaurants or the eateries where I used to work. And they used to guide me because by that time when I reached Manipur and I started working in churches, I was about 13 or 14 years of age. I had grown up by that time. So I used to ask for help, for guidance, for suggestion, for advice. And that habit led me to quite a good position in life. Because alone I cannot think and plan. And I had no other friend or family to discuss. So the hotel customers used to come, I used to discuss with them. So they used to give their opinion and practical situation. And that's how I realized I can work here, I can work there, I can do this, I can do this. So that's how it worked out.
Wow, that's amazing for 13. You're 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, figuring that out, asking questions, asking for help, asking for guidance.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was the only way I could get information. Otherwise, having no family, no friends, how to discuss and how to get advice. And advice is very important in growing years.
Where did you find the bravery and courage to do that? I mean, I would think there would be such a lack of trust of adults and people in general based on what happened. How were you able to figure out who you could trust as a young child?
Well, it was like the person who's giving me food to eat and money to buy food and money to buy clothing and shelter, I would trust that person. So it started off like I was lucky also. I met the right nice people. Had I met another brothel house person, then my faith would have been shaken away. But thankfully, by God's grace, I met nice people on the way.
And churches, thankfully, were a place,
Yeah,
one of the places you felt you could trust.
yeah, it was very calming and very, very encouraging atmosphere in the churches. In Manipur, I found my life transformed completely because the people were also nice. And Manipur, incidentally, is a matriarchal state of India. Matrilineal or matriarchal, as to say. Like entire Asia is very, very patriarchal. But in Asia, Manipur is the only place in India where it's matriarchal. The women becomes the head of the family.
So they're more caretaking.
Yeah. And being a girl, I felt safe in a matriarchal society, so to speak. Women were in charge, they were in power, and they were in the controlling situation. Nobody controlling them, they controlling the men.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. So much I could say about that too. Yeah. Yeah, a safer place where they're looking out for your interests. I mean, and we can go through your story, but the really beautiful thing is you are now doing work in this space, correct? So you're living back in Nepal. Is that?
Yes.
Right. So, and I'm sharing that now because as we go through this, I would love to hear what you think about solutions, what we can be doing as human beings wanting to end trafficking as we talk about the different periods, because you're an expert now in this, not just from lived experience, but from now working with these populations and making change in them and supporting. And so from I think a systems point of view, what we can do to change, and also from an individual point of view, what we can do to support and to stop trafficking, and also like wisdom for young kids or children or teens that are going through this. I mean, what messages would you send to them, I guess? So I would love to, as we go through how, the fear and all of that, I think advice from those different lenses is really important as we talk through it. So maybe speak a little bit now to what you're doing now so we can give some context and our listeners can,
Right now I'm working in an organization called Koshish, which means making an effort in English. This is an organization of people with mental health issues. They themselves have mental health issues, and they have created this organization to help others in their kind of situation. The founder and executive director of this organization, Matika Devkota, rescued me from the streets of Nepal and transformed my life and gave me a new life. And I work at Koshish. My job is primarily awareness and sensitization of the people regarding the true nature of the mental health issues, so that the stigma which is imposed on mental health issues can be reduced and removed, and people with mental health issues can lead a normal life.
Amazing. And I'll say too that you saved yourself. I mean, pretty extraordinary. He may have facilitated some of the movement, and you've got so much power and such a message for young girls about their ability, I think, and kind of where they can control their destiny. But him coming in, you took so much action on your own that was so brave and courageous. And it's you're a powerful and human being, and I just want to honor you for that and all you've done. So and incredible that you're now using that experience to give back and to make change in Nepal. So okay, we'll go back to when you were 13 or 14, then what kind of transformed them? Where did you go from there? And you were still in India.
Yeah, then about 16 or 17 years of age, I came back to Nepal. And in Nepal, I started working as a tourist guide. But my mental health condition was not that well. So I could not concentrate on the job, though it was my heart's desire to work as a tourist guide, to meet foreigners, and to learn about their culture and their countries. It seemed all very exciting and glamorous to me. And but my mental health issues became very alarmingly pronounced, and I could not work much as a tourist guide. And it was about 2 years in the making of a tourist guide that I was imprisoned by Nepal police in the prison because they found narcotics in my bag. I was carrying narcotics bag of a tourist. I did not know it had narcotics. But police caught the bag on me, and I told them this is not my bag, this is someone else's bag. I'm just carrying it for them to help climb the mountains. But police did not trust me, and my mental health was so bad that nobody could have trusted me. So they just got hold of me and put me in the prison without any trial, without any court uh, uh, presentation, because those days in Nepal, it was it was a time of armed conflict. There were Maoist movements in Nepal. They Maoist people, they used to kill police officers and military officers and foreigners also. And they wanted local government, local people, and they wanted to take revenge for the king's family and all. And it was all very confusing and complicated thing. So there was an armed conflict happening. So police had the power to put anyone in prison without court trial. So considering my mental health situation, they put me in the prison. And I stayed.
Yeah, what can you explain more? What do you mean by your mental health situation? What was happening with your mental health at the time?
Well, I stopped comprehending situations and circumstances, and person would be talking to me, but I would be lost somewhere else and dazed, completely dazed, and always breathless, always low on energy, always negative thinkings, anxiety, too much of anxiety, fear of confined spaces, and phobia. A lot of phobia developed in me.
Right, and I'm assuming you didn't get any treatment for any of the trauma that had happened in your life up till then?
Not really, because I was not diagnosed as a mental health patient. Everybody used to feel that I'm moody, I'm arrogant, I'm this, I'm that, and that. Nobody could see that I need help.
Yeah.
I need to be rescued from the situation. Because those days in Nepal and in India and in Asia for that matter, mental health issues were not recognized as a form of a ailment, a disease to be taken care of just as other diseases.
Right.
Rather, it was like somebody is arrogant, somebody is lazy. So different labels were there. I was also called lazy. I was also called arrogant. I was also called moody, mood swings. So it's only recently that suddenly it's after United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities 2006, when it came, that CRPD, only after that in Asia people have awakened to the reality that mental health issues are also like a disease, a malady, and it needs to be taken care of like other diseases. So they are not communicable, but just like heart diseases are there, chronic heart diseases, cardiac diseases, the similar way, it's a chronic brain disease.
Yeah.
Only now it is.
Yeah, you think about all of the trauma you had as a child and all of the unhealthy situations, and I mean, how can you just be expected to be a normal functioning, Well, normal. Yeah, exactly. And without support and guidance and healing and all of that, like, it would be critical to your health and well-being and stability. So it's no wonder that you were dissociating and you were having challenges. Like, of course, that makes so much sense. So, wow. So they imprisoned you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's no kinds of treatment or anything in the prisons, which had to be just another horrible, traumatic experience.
Yes. There was a doctor coming 2 times a week, but the doctor did not realize that I am going through serious mental health issues and that I need medicine for that. They used to say, I'm acting, I just want to go out of the prison, so I'm acting. When I'm yelling, when I'm getting violent, it's only acting.
Yeah.
So they used to handcuff me and make me sit for 7-8 hours, handcuffed to a wheel, iron wheel.
Yeah.
And then open the handcuffs, and those kind of things used to have been done to me.
What was the anger about? Do you know? Do you remember?
Well, I was frustrated that I was in the prison, and I was frustrated that I could make use of this time to do something more productive instead of sitting in the prison and doing nothing.
Yeah.
So, and whole
Sorry,
day
what was that? You were frustrated. Yeah, you were frustrated.
I was frustrated.
Yeah, that you were in the.
I was frustrated that so much time was being wasted. Like, I could do so many things, but instead I was just dumped in the prison and no idea for how long I have to stay there. And that time was very important period of my life. I was young, I could learn things, I could do work, and I was passionate about my work as a tourist guide. I used to tell everyone, the police people who used to come, please let me go. I want to become like a tourist guide. I want to become a tourist guide. Let me go, let me go. But they would not let me go.
Yeah. Do you know that when you're angry, or when you're in pain, anger and violence actually releases endorphins, so it makes our body feel better. So it's actually, if you're in despair, anger and rage, that can feel really, like, to your body, it feels better. Like, it's not a healthy response, but it's a good, it's actually a pretty smart coping mechanism that we use, just not healthy longer term. And, that's part of what we do with youth is, like, how do we express our rage in healthier ways, to where we're not further getting us in trouble. And it's, yeah, I can imagine it would be just a horrific experience for you, especially with all of the trauma as a young child, being basically locked up and then being re-traumatized with that for something that you didn't do when you're supposed to be living your life. I can't imagine.
It was terrible time which I had in the prison, and my mental health issues became all the more aggravated.
I'm sure, yeah.
And Nepali prison, it was like there was no water, no food. Government gives food also, but only rice and lentils. So it was like completely a saddled life, big saddle, like this put on the horse back. That kind of a saddle was put on me, it seems. And people were just putting all their things on, all their weights on me. Like,
just
much of everything on me, only on me.
Yeah.
Even if a person has mental health issue, the blame cannot be given 100% to the person with mental health issue. Other people in the society also have to share the blame for provoking a person with a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I accept I had mental health issue and I was violent. That was my mistake. But there's some part of the responsibility goes to the other people also in the prison who used to provoke me to become violent.
Yeah.
But that point of view was never appreciated. Oh, yeah, I was
the lack of compassion, the triggering, the lack of understanding, all of that, and the human rights abuses. That's why I got involved in the global work right up front. The BBC did a documentary on human rights abuses in Africa as it relates to mental health, and it really opened my eyes to what was happening around the world. Especially as it relates to discrimination and oppression of those with mental health disorders. And so I got really committed to, working globally on this. And so, the amount of abuse and oppression, I'm sure that was prevalent. I mean, I've been to Nepal and spoke around mental health and done some work there, but it sounds pretty extreme there. And you had so much trauma as a child, and then to continue to be re-traumatized, it's terrific.
It was terrible time. It was very, very terrible time. But by God's grace, there was church in the prison. There was a Buddhist temple in the prison, and a Hindu temple also in the prison. So those anchors were available in the prison. So I worked for cleaning the church in the prison. I painted the Buddha temple. Wow. I did all those things in the prison. But as I said, it takes two hands to make a clap.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was in the wrong, being violent and being unproductive. But other people equally were to be blamed, no. But that part of that thing, regrettably, no one ever does.
Yeah.
Be it Nepal, be it America, be it Europe, be it Africa, be it any country, any place, only the person with mental health issues is blamed.
Yeah, I mean, I taught when I speak and about violence specifically, I really think until we teach kids and really all about the stress response and the physiological response we have to triggers and what happens with the norepinephrine and adrenaline and cortisol that shoots through our body and our inability to think clearly. When we're activated in that stress response, our number one thing needs to be learning how to diffuse those situations and deactivating that stress response. I believe we have a duty to teach all youth and really now all adults on how to do that so that we don't continue further triggering everyone. And, kids know that they're getting some positive hormones when they are violent. And so if you're in despair, that can feel good, and yet it's not healthy long-term, and teach them other things of doing that. And also taking the shame out of it. I think teaching about the physiological response to triggers is really important because it's not that we just make a decision to be violent. There's something happening in our body. And so learning as a society to kind of better navigate triggers and be educated on them and is really critical. Let's get to the happiness habits. I mean, I love that you talk about painting, that you talk about prayer as a stress skill, because that's so important when we're in extreme trauma. And if we live in environments that are very traumatic, it can seem really hard to do anything that's healthy for us, and we can get stuck in that stress and pain and anger and fear. And so how are you navigating that in ways that are like, what were the healthy things that you were able to do?
Well, to start with, I used to, before I sleep, every day, I used to do a screening of my whole day in my brain before sleeping. And that was kind of very relaxing and time to think and ponder, and a prayer of gratitude also. Today I survived these many issues. Today I survived these many situations. So that kind of a writing diary in my brain my diary in the brain was one thing which I used to do and I still do. And that apart, music, and I love music. And
were you able to
any
listen to music?
I listen to instrumental music mostly, not the songs as such, but the instrumental music, be it jazz, be it flute, be it piano, be it any kind of instrumental music I love.
And how did you get access to that?
Well, now I download, and in the prison there used to be radios. Radio was allowed. So somebody would play the radio and we'd play the music. So I would just listen to them. And then I purchased my own radio also in the prison with my money.
How did you get money?
I used to work like washing clothes and doing dishes and cleaning the prison. And they used to give me little money. So from that money I saved and I purchased a radio system for myself.
And one of the reasons for persistent hopelessness is we folks stay stuck in our helplessness. So that second part of hopelessness, which is helplessness. And it seems like you did a really good job of figuring out at a very young age what you could control and what you couldn't control, and what you could control was working and generating income for yourself and using that money to do things to provide you with basic needs, and then also things that brought you joy. I find it like that you were working in prison and using it to buy radio. So inspiring,
Yes, you are right. I learned that at a very young age. A lot of things are there which I cannot control, and I have to kind of compromise there. But what I can control, what I can change, I must immediately get to work and change it.
Yeah.
That balancing I've been doing, and that somewhere from the inner self it has come.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because it's so easy to get stuck in what we can't control.
Yeah.
And so important to recognize that. So that's pretty amazing guidance you had internally from a young age. Yeah. So, so talking about inspired action. So then how did you get out of prison and then to where you are?
Well, the government elections happened in Nepal after 10 years of armed conflict, and democracy was established. And thereafter, they started releasing people from the prison, and my turn came and I was released. But I had no family, no friends to go to, and little money which I had saved in the prison did not last for long. So I ended up in streets. I was in the streets for about 13, 14 months. And one fine day, Matrika sent people to rescue me from the streets. He got to know from somebody that a girl is in the streets and her mental balance is not good, and she's in a very bad condition. So Matrika sent his team for my rescue, and I was rescued and taken to the center of Koshish. There they said, we will give you food if you have shower. I was so hungry. I said, give me food, I'll have shower later. They said, no, you must have shower first and then we give you food. You must trust us. So that trust game began. And every time there was a bargaining happening for food. I wanted food, I wanted tea, I wanted coffee, and they would say, we'll give you this, but then you have to do this. So that bargaining really changed me as a person. Like healthy habits developed. Like they would say, if you sleep early at night, then in the morning we give you this. Anything, like not just food, but we will let you watch television, we'll let you play music. So those kind of bargaining tactics helped me and developed healthy habits in me. So I now sleep early, I wake up early, I don't think negative much. I try to be positive, optimistic, and I eat food on time. So those kind of things, all I learned at Koshish Center, where Matrika had put me. So eventually, I recovered at the threshold levels. So then Matrika offered me a job at Koshish. Earlier, for 1 year, I worked as a cook in the Koshish office, but my cooking was not very good. So they said that I like meeting people, I like talking to people, so they will give me a job in the desk work. So they made me program officer. And slowly, steadily, I improved on myself and I was promoted. Now I work as a program officer for awareness and sensitization, telling people my story, telling people about how to make best out of worst situation. No matter how worse the situation would be, there would be something to be taken away from it. Every cloud has a silver lining. So let's just take away whatever we can from a situation and move ahead.
Wow, that's amazing.
I took counseling also. I did group therapies also at the center. So all that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Martha is like a god to me. He is giving me a new life.
And where did you learn to read and write? And I mean, you're on Zoom, use a computer, and I mean, it's amazing.
Well, yes, I was in the prison, and in the prison they used to teach reading, writing. School was there, and I learned there. And before that, I was in a church organized Montessori school for about 2.5 years. So I learned the basic alphabet in the. There was a French church pastor who had a church in Nepal, and he came to me once and he said, "I'll give you free food, free shelter, and free clothing if you accept to study at my school." So I knew him through the Manipur church pastors, and I found, oh, it's a good bargain, free food and free clothing and free shelter. And my dream of becoming a tourist guide would be realized soon if I can learn the basic alphabet. So basic reading and writing alphabet I learned at that French Montessori in Nepal. Then after, when I was in the jail, I rigorously studied English language, and there was television in this jail. So at night, everyone used to sleep. I used to watch BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. So to better my English. And there were a lot of foreigners in the prison on visa charges, visa hassles, and all those things, overstay charges. So I used to help them with the washing of their clothes and getting drinking water for them and small things for them. And in return, they used to teach me English.
Wow.
So it's all in the jail.
Yeah, so making best use of the resources you have, kind of where you are, and setting little goals and making progress and overcoming obstacles. I mean, what an incredible story of hope. I mean, really, really powerful. I mean,
it's the resilience which God has given me as a gift. I think the resilience.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to other young women? I mean, how do we end this global? I mean, so many people are trying to do work in the trafficking space. I mean, what guidance do you have for all of us that care?
Well, I would say never give up on hope. Because there is God, all of us know and believe. If we believe in God, we should not give in. Because that's like showing ingratitude. That is not showing gratitude to God. If we have to offer prayer of gratitude to God, we must offer hope to God and to ourselves. Because there is God for sure. And if the God is there for sure, we will get justice sooner or later. We should not let our hope waver.
Yeah. I mean, what about young women that don't believe in anything? I mean, what would you, I mean,
For them, it is a bargain then, practical bargain.
mm-hmm.
They don't believe in anything, but they believe in hunger, food. So they have to trust somebody who gives them food.
Yeah.
Agency of God is giving them food through someone.
Yeah.
So, practical speaking, somebody who gives them money. Now, how that somebody gives them money, how that somebody gives them food, for different women, it would be different.
Yeah.
Some women might be into prostitution and getting money
Yeah.
and food from the customers with whom they sleep later or before.
Yeah.
That is one very crude example.
Yeah.
But other women might be getting food from a neighbor, a friendly neighbor. Other women might be getting some advice, some guidance from a professor at the college.
Yeah, but how do you know? I mean, for young women, I mean, how do you know how can you get advice in and support and love in healthy ways? I mean, how do you know who to trust, who's not trying to prostitute you or sell you into the sex trade? Or, I mean, how do you, I mean, to me, churches seem like a safe, or other nonprofit organizations or charities, or, I think that's, I mean, a big part of how do we stop it, and how do young women know who to trust and where to go for help and support?
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, we must realize that we have to trust someone.
Yeah.
That's the helplessness we have. Given a choice, no one would trust no one.
Right.
But in this society, everyone needs someone to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, like, till I have money in my pocket, I don't need anyone. I'll just go purchase what I want to eat. I'll just book myself in a nice hotel and sleep there. And I'll buy good clothes for myself. And I'm soaring high in the sky. But when the money finishes, what to do then?
Yeah.
Then I have to look for friends. Then I have to look for people who can give me little money or little food. And then at that level, I have to trust people.
Yeah.
So trust is a form of helplessness.
Yeah.
When I'm helpless, I have to trust people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, trust is necessary to move out of helplessness. And we do know that in the research, like, all kids need at least one trusted adult. And it sounds like for you, that trusted adult came into your life and really helped you move through challenges and kind of get the support you needed and stabilized and secure income and housing and all of that. And all kids do. And so it's like figuring out who to trust and how to trust and where the safe places are. I know one of my dear supporters and advisors, Gar Jameson, he in Las Vegas, and I just recently found this out, put their 800 numbers for those that are being trafficked in bathrooms. So they put signs in bathrooms throughout Las Vegas with 800 numbers of where to call for help, so that, because bathrooms are people, even, people that are being trafficked go to. And so they did a campaign around it, and that was a really proactive kind of positive intervention that people could then call, and I thought that was really kind of innovative from an intervention standpoint on how we get to these young, frightened people that are being controlled by in this way. And so are there other things that you've seen that have been helpful from an intervention standpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have they done anything in Nepal to stop it or to make changes? And I mean, it's laws. It sounds like that was a big step, changing legislation, but like, how do we end it? providing more safe spaces for youth, I think.
Well, it carries a lot of social stigma. The Blissed society is very, very patriarchal. The trafficked woman will be blamed, not the men who are selling her. That's very unfortunate. My stepfather would not be blamed for selling me.
Still,
But I would be blamed for being sold off.
still to this day,
And
is that true today, do you think? That's still true today?
a little has changed. Trafficking has been recognized as a form of crime.
Yeah,
45 years ago, when I was trafficked, it was not a crime.
right.
It was right of a father, of a brother, of a husband to sell their female relative.
Yeah,
It was, but now, these days, in the books of law, it is mentioned this is disgraceful, disgusting, this practice is illegal.
yeah,
But at the practical level, we have open border with India. So for full buses full of women, every day are going through the border, open border to India side, where women are going to be taken for employment. But some women get employment, most of them not get employment, but they are trafficked. So, but then there are organizations, NGOs are there who are fighting against trafficking of women, and they take joint action with Indian police and rescue the women in India, Nepali women in India, and bring them back to Nepal.
yeah,
So that is happening.
yeah,
It is recognized as a crime now.
yeah. Got it. For sure. Yeah. Super
Yeah.
messed up. So provide shelter, clothing to young women, food, getting their sense of safety, super important. I think 800 numbers, educating, public education, and for especially targeting youth of where they can go for safety and support. It's legislation. It's kind of all of these things working together. To me, it seems like to end trafficking.
Yeah. These all together will work towards reducing trafficking, even if not to end trafficking as such, at least reducing trafficking.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things you said at the beginning, before we were on, which is really powerful to me, and I think an important message and important, and we can also, anything else you want to go over before we close, but I asked you if you wanted to use your first and last name. That some people just want to use their first name and last initial, and I've always been really open about my own lived experience and identifying, my own challenges and whatnot. And so when I asked you that, what did you say? Can you share with the listeners? It's so powerful.
Well, if I recall correctly, I said, I don't feel guilty about anything in my life, so why should I hide myself or my name? I should be able to openly discuss my name and my photograph and everything, because I have not done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong has happened to me. So why should I hide myself? But that feeling has come after a number of grilling counseling sessions. When I came to Koshish, I was not this confident and what I seen today.
Yeah.
I was a very different person. But Matrika himself is a suicide survivor and he openly talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
He pushed me into this and he said, you can do it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been able to get this kind of courage slowly.
Yeah.
Painstaking counseling sessions, group therapies, and so much has gone into the making of a person which I am today.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's difficult.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It takes a lot of work and work in group and a feeling of safety. And yeah, like you said, you didn't do anything. It's what happened to you. And so, why hide that and why hide yourself? And it's really powerful. Is there anything else you want to share with anyone listening in on about your story? Or I find it so inspiring, and you wrote out your story and shared how you managed your stress and how prayer affected you and got you through really challenging times, and the painting that you did, so how you generated those happiness habits even in those most challenging of times, the music, the things you listened to, the way you connected with others, how you took those inspired actions of getting work and taking it one day at a time and taking steps to change your situation, and you talked about how important it was for that one person to be there for you, to support you and to help you kind of move forward, and that one person believing in you really changed things for you. And I think, to me, it's so important for all of us to believe in youth and to make sure we look out for the youth that aren't taken care of in society. I think it's a responsibility of all of us adults. Make sure every single child feels worthy and that they belong here and that they have a place. And then the last thing, the E, in eliminating challenges, you talked about how, you did focus on what you could control and took steps and, stayed present to kind of manage the fear about the future and focused on a day at a time. So it was a really powerful story. And I think you sharing your testament and how you remained and practiced the skills we know that are necessary to remain hopeful, how you applied those to your life and how others can as well, no matter what challenge, you're a testament to the incredible ability of the human soul to kind of survive and withstand really tragic things that are outside of our control, and to still create a really meaningful, beautiful life for yourself where you're making great change around the world, which I find so inspiring. Yeah, that was long. But is there anything else that you on your end want to add or want to share or want to say kind of as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I can just add one, maybe trick. I can share a trick with you.
Yeah.
Which would be useful for the listeners.
Yes, please.
Yes, we may not be able to trust anyone, but then we can believe in something. But the belief is, yes, I can do it. The belief is, no, I can't do this. I would never do this. To reach the level of trusting someone may not be easy, but step-by-step ladder, and then making a flow chart. Like the computer log frame flow charts are there. Software flow charts are there. If this happens, if this person does this for me, I can trust this person this much. If this person can do this much for me, I can trust this person this much more. So, starting by believing a person or giving an opportunity to a person to impress us so that we can trust that person. So it cannot happen in one day maybe, but a step-by-step ladder can work, and we can find some people, few people we can trust. We cannot trust everyone we meet, but there might be some people we can believe in, some people we can bank upon, and then different synonyms of trust. And finally, there would be at least one person whom we can trust.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to search that out. And I think no matter how many times we're betrayed or hurt, or that we still do our best to because there are people we can trust. There are good people in the world. There are people working hard to support and help others, and that want a mutual give and take, and that are honorable and respectful. And so, yeah, to not give up on humanity, I think it's so important. So, yeah, absolutely.
There are so many organizations, they're working selflessly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for calling me, inviting me, Kathryn.
Oh, yeah, you're so inspiring. And we'll put a link to your organization. What is it called again in Nepal?
Koshish.
Koshish. Koshish.
Yeah, KOSHISH.
Okay, in Nepal. Yes, incredible. They're doing great work in Nepal, and you're a program manager supporting so many people. And again, it's really important that we activate this work globally. The human rights abuses, that have been going on for a long time around the world. We're making a lot of progress, and yet there's still a lot of work to be done. So I want to thank you for your bravery in Nepal. I know, in countries where it's so highly stigmatized, all mental health disorders, it's very challenging to be brave and to stand up and to talk about it and get the conversation open. And, we're learning so much about the brain and how the brain works. There's so much that we don't know. It's the most complex organ of the human body. And yet we spend so little money when you compare it to other organs in terms of how much we've researched and what we know. So I think we're all learning, and yet your bravery and courage, and you're quite an icon for young girls around the world. So thank you for all you're doing, and for sharing your story and being vulnerable and open, and giving us some skills that we can use and apply in our own life to get to hope, no matter kind of what challenge we're facing. So thank you so much. And yes. And thank you all the listeners for listening in. Please do share Kamala's story, and let's spread the message, and let's get more resources and work into supporting our young women in the world to stop trafficking, and to get women education and support so they can lead the healthy and full lives that they deserve to lead. So thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day, everyone. And remember, no matter what life brings, to keep shining hope. Take care.
So thank you all for listening in to the Hope Matrix podcast. We want to shine a light that hope is teachable, hope is measurable and teachable, and provide you with actionable insights for how you can start activating hope in your life today, and provide a framework so you can start talking about hope with other people and practice these skills together, because we are better with hope. Please feel free to check out theshinehopecompany.com, where we list all of our resources around how to hope. We have a lot of free programs for how to hope, including the 5-day challenge, our hope infographic with a lot of skills that showcase how to hope, and articles of how to incorporate hope into your life. We have the Hopebeat Weekly, which is a weekly newsletter that shares strategies for hope. We have a My Hope Story template, so you can write your own hope story today. Also, My Hope Hero, so we can share what our heroes are doing to activate hope in their lives. And this is especially good with youth, so they can start looking up to people that have overcome similar challenges to them and seeing how these heroes use the Shine Hope framework. We have a Hopeful Minds for Teens program, a Hopeful Minds overview, educator guides. We have a new evidence-based college course, so you can activate hope on the college campus. There are programs in the workplace, overview courses, 90-minute courses for learning the what, why, and how to hope. What I want you to know about hope is it's a skill. You've got to practice these skills to become hopeful. It's easy to fall into despair and helplessness when we deal with challenges in life, and it takes intentional work and practice to get to hope. And yet it is always possible. So no matter what life brings, keep shining hope. Thanks so much for listening in. Have an awesome day. And of course, I've got to add that this program is designed to assist you in learning about hope. It should not be used for medical advice, counseling, or other health-related services. IFRA, the Shine Hope Company, and myself, Kathryn Goetzke, do not endorse or provide any medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I am not a medical doctor. The information provided here should not be used for the diagnosis or treatment of any medical condition, and cannot be substituted for the advice of physicians, licensed professionals, or therapists who are familiar with your specific situation. Consult a licensed medical profession or call 911 if you are in need of immediate assistance. And be sure to know the crisis hotline, 988, if you are in need of support. Thanks a bunch for listening. Take good care of yourself and keep shining hope.